Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We went to movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about movies that shaped their childhood. I'm Sweetie with a Y.
And I'm Sweetie with an IE.
I forgot what our podcast was called. Hey guys, what's up? So our Sweetie here is, gonna have this baby anytime soon. We expected to get more baby movies in the pipeline, but we've said this before. Life is hard. And as luck would have it, I was browsing on the interweb, browsing on the streaming devices, and what should be advertised front and center to me but this movie? Ladies and gentlemen, The Abyss.
Wow. So yeah,
It's finally here.
So I had to look through my story archive because I didn't remember like when we had tried to do this one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're, fans of the podcast, this happens a lot. We get super pumped about a movie. We're like, yeah, we're going to do it. And we advertise that we're going to do it. And then we don't look at, is this available to stream? Because it's really our only options right now. We don't have a DVD player anymore.
I have one. I have a DVD player.
Oh, you do? Okay. I don't.
Yeah.
Or I did, but like I don't have the cables hooked up to my TV. Long story. So if it's not streaming, like we really can't do it. So we didn't look up this one. I was so excited to do it, and then it wasn't available as of June 2023. So it has just come about. I don't know why. Again, would love to know the process of like why some stuff isn't available to stream, why some stuff is only available to stream for a small amount of time. Or, why isn't everything just available like this giant library now? Obviously, to do with rights and all that. I mean, I'm sure. But still, it makes it a real hard to do a nostalgic, 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s movie podcast if some stuff is being kept from us in some little vault.
The lesson is we have to check if the movie's available before we promote it. So we just... Sometimes we remember, sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
But anyways, happy day. The Abyss is on.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have like a strong connection to this movie. This was definitely more one of Sweetie's ones that she was kind of jazzed about.
Well, was it?
She would talk about it a lot. I thought so.
No.
Because you kept talking about it.
I've only ever seen it once, if that. I have a real recollection of this movie, again, like being on TV a lot, but one that our older sister like loved, was like obsessed with, or just like, and to the point I thought it was a little bit more because it was like creepy or even scary. Like there's, this alien element to it, right? Because, the posters and whatever, and, like something's going on. So and like if you've ever seen the movie Sphere, which is like a Michael Crichton one that might remind you of
I
this.
confused it with this one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was like a little bit more like that, where you have like a nefarious like alien situation down there or whatever. This is not that movie at all. So when I was watching it, I was like, this movie's about like nuclear warheads? What?
Yeah. I know. I was
Very
like, where
confused.
are the aliens?
I know. The aliens play a very small role. So I'm going to tell you this. If you are also like myself, you're going to be disappointed. It's very light on the aliens, okay? It's very light on the aliens. And spoiler, they're good aliens. They're real nice. And they look like sparkly butterflies, okay? They're not evil at all.
Yeah. Alien friends.
Yeah. So from 1989, great year for movies. I just listened to a back episode we had where I considered writing a book about the golden year of cinema in 1989, and we listed because we always talk about really good movies released in 1989. This was released the same year as Ghostbusters 2, and put against that movie did not do as well. and not considered a flop, but like I think with James Cameron being writer director, you know, the history with his other movies, they thought it was going to be like a little bit more of a big thing, and it really wasn't. Which is too bad, but whatever. That guy's has a ton of hits. Who's in this? You know, not a lot of people. Not a lot of famous people in this movie.
Yeah. We've got Ed Harris, hottie, little hottie Ed. I know Sweetie's into him. I find it, and like, yes, he's definitely has like hot energy in this.
Yes.
And I can see it, but like, I don't know, his little like half tuft of hair is like so sad because you know where it's going, and it's like,
well,
he's still handsome
Yeah.
with or without hair. I liked his character.
His beautiful
he's
eyes.
great.
As I said in my Instagram story, once he's underwater, and especially the scene when his whole face is covered in water, didn't love him. And because your face
was
looks
that so
weird
weird?
underwater.
Well, it's
All
water.
your
It's not like
features
what it
got
really
like
looks like.
pressed like this. And I was like, I couldn't even tell it
Yeah.
was him because sometimes they were like,
Probably wasn't.
no, they did all their own stunts. There was no like no stuntman in
wow.
this.
Wow.
Yeah, he's always, you know, hottie for me. And a lot of it I think has to do with attitude, as you said. He's very like charismatic, and he like the way he like
BDE.
yeah, like
Big,
you know,
big dick
flirts
energy.
with women, and especially in this one, which is pretty borderline like sexist. I mean, it's like kind of gross actually.
Well, there's only one woman.
Yeah.
Well, two.
It's his
only one that he
ex-wife,
flirts
but
with.
like the way he talks to her, and basically the
yeah.
way everyone talks to her is like yucky.
What's up with that?
Yeah, really yucky. But anyway, and then you have Mary Elizabeth Monstrantonio.
What is she in? What is her
She's
deal?
in
Where'd
like
she go?
random crap, I think, but not that I can like note. But she was good in this as basically the only woman. There is another woman, you know, cowboy oil driller there, but you know, she's borderline like gender, like not queer, but like whatever. Like she's just kind of doing her own thing. She wears a cowboy hat a lot, likes country music.
Probably women.
Yeah. Because that's the only women that can work in oil drilling,
Right.
you know?
Yes,
It's got to
exactly.
be like butch women. But this character, what the hell's her name? They say it like 1,000 times. Lindsay is like, you are like, wait, like, what are you doing in this oil drilling business? Love to know that backstory. Like, how did you get into this? But she must
an
be
engineer.
she's an engineer. She's some kind of science
She
geek.
designed the deep core. But we'll get into it. But yeah.
And then the only other person of note that I saw was Chris Elliott, random.
Oh, what about Kyle Reese?
Who's that?
Who's the bad Navy SEAL?
No way! Oh my god!
I know he had a mustache on. I couldn't even recognize him.
Recognize him. Okay, yeah, he was good. Oh man, I'm gonna punch that guy's lights out. Okay, that makes sense. James Cameron, blah blah blah.
Right. His that's like his muse
His
for some reason.
muse. Okay, so yeah, and then just like a slew of a great cast of characters, I'd say. The crew of the oil drilling crew, and then you have the Navy SEALs. Everyone sort of looks alike. Like it's really hard to tell like who's who, and some of them have kind of fun names, but especially the oil crew people are like burly guy. They all look like Vikings, like burly, tall, like blonde guys with long hair and beards. So kind of hard to tell. I didn't really notice anybody, of note, or even the rat guy. I feel like he's been in some stuff, but I didn't really recognize him from anything. But yeah, directed by James Cameron. So yeah, original story. Got the idea of it after going to some conference or something and hearing about some kind of technology stuff or something about a trench or something like that. So we always wanted to do like this underwater movie. And this ended up being, in Hollywood history, notoriously one of the worst shoots, like, ever.
Oh.
From every actor, from James Cameron, from literally everyone who worked on the movie, just from the difficulty of filming underwater. It's just, like, a lot of factors. It's very dangerous. And James Cameron is a very demanding director, so he would be like not very sympathetic of these actors who were like freezing, almost drowning every day. He almost drowned one day. Like it was just like a really bad shoot. Ed Harris to this day like refuses to talk about it.
They
They didn't use any stunt people, so the actors had to do like all of their own stunts. They were all certified in like deep water diving and scuba and stuff to be able to do it. Yeah.
Wow.
And even James Cameron's brother is actually in this. Do you remember the part in the submarine where like one of the guys is dead and these crabs are like crawling all over his face? So that was his brother. And I guess he just had to like lie still underwater and do several takes of this with like crabs crawling out of his mouth.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, James is the worst.
No.
I'm just going to say it. Dude has a hard on for water.
Yeah.
And,
right. I mean, this is a preview of Titanic. Like, I will say.
Totally.
Many, many ways.
Preview of Titanic and a lot like Aliens. And I know he didn't do Alien, but like very similar, like we're going to investigate a threat. Oh, turns out the threat is actually each other. Yeah. And it's like, you know, humans against human. And then, there's this element. But, and then this whole like, I mean, we'll talk about it, but like, the characterization of the wife, just like what we know about like Catherine Bigelow and their relationship, probably like it was like, ugh, I hate him. Like, I don't know.
I know. And by the end, it turns around because there is like a very romantic,
they just have
thrilling
to
moment at the end. Exactly right. Both of those things. So you're happy that they do end up getting together at the end, but the beginning is so like fraught and, anyways, this movie's like all underwater shit. So you have like one side is a submarine kind of situation, and then you have this deep water drilling, which seems a little cooler because I'll say when this movie started, all I could think of was ugh submarines. What a terrible invention. Who goes on those? It seems like the worst work environment. It seems like hell. I'm sorry. It seems like hell under
very
earth.
Claustrophobic. It would never be a place that I would sign up to go to. I mean, obviously this was like very of the time, which was like, I don't know, when did submarines get invented? Like the 50s or whatever, where there was, war. It was the best place to sneak and spy and attack on people because they don't see you coming in the submarine. But the other side of that is like, these are hella dangerous.
So
and
dangerous.
You could die. Like, and then I was thinking, like, remember those guys that all just blew up in the submarine recently?
Yes.
And it's like, not going in there.
No.
Like, I'm not doing it.
Underwater is not a great place to be. Let's stay above whatever like feet that makes it safe and that you won't like totally die. And I mean, we'll talk about this, but the fact that they even thought that they were going to find survivors down there, I'm like, the whole thing is filled with water.
I did not understand that at all. I was like, I guess that's the whole point of those doors that you slam shut and you turn.
Which
if those work correctly, you seal yourself off.
Yes.
And then you would be, because the submarine's already underwater. So the fact that it sunk, I guess, isn't that big of a deal. But yeah, interesting. Okay. But enough.
Yeah, sorry, we're going too into the plot. Let me see if I have anything else. So, released in Ghostbusters. So this was a big kind of revolutionary thing for the CGI. So the aliens are all this like special CGI, all done by the Lucas Industrial Light and Magic. Is that Lucas? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Cameron would then use for his, the T2, which you have similar things, the technology in this and the CGI technology to what happens in T2, if you've ever seen T2. So he like kind of used this as like the beginning, like pretty cool for what it is. Now it looks like pretty dated, but for this time period, remember 1989, guys, there wasn't a lot of that stuff. So this was like super, super cool. Yeah. And then I will say that not a good movie to see at the drive-in because hella dark, right? These dark movies. I was like, what's happening?
Okay, that's always your complaint. I was listening to another episode where we did the same thing, and I brought up the time we went to the drive-in and saw the X-Files movie, and all I remember about that movie is you complaining about how dark it was. And it was like, no, but it is a thing, and I thought more so than that, I thought I had a problem understanding like the lay of the land. Yeah. Like I didn't really understand the design of anything, and like there's just kind of just like scenes of them in places, and I didn't really get the scope of like the place. So yeah, I wouldn't pick it for the drive-in, and it's too long and slow. I would have fallen asleep. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I think the first hour is very slow, and it's a big setup, but the last hour like a lot of crap happens, and I think it turns it around. That's my opinion. 4 stars. Okay. Podcast over. Okay.
We did it.
It's time for the Sweetie synopsis. Yeah.
Sweeties.
Okay, this is my quote, and I'm just going to preface it by saying, while this is not technically a baby movie, I've been able to connect it to the world of babies from this one quote. So, there's an element of this movie about breathable water. So, when you're going down to a very, very low depth in the ocean, very deep, you like wouldn't be able to breathe even with like oxygen because of like pressure and whatever. So they invented this thing where basically like you can fill your mask with water that's breathable, and basically you're like a fish. You're just breathing in the water, and then you don't have to deal with like, I guess, like the pressure stuff or losing or breathing oxygen, because oxygen won't work that far down, whatever. So the quote the Navy SEAL says is, "We all breathe water for 9 months, Bud," to the character Bud. "Your body will remember." And I thought that was really cool because it's like, yes, we do all start off as basically like fishes breathing in water for 9 months, and then you come out and then you don't. But
I don't get it.
yeah, interesting, huh?
I don't get it. Wow. All right. The USS Montana is swimming through the waters when they get a signal of an approaching thing. So this is like, you know, the end of the Cold War, but we're still like, fuck you, Russia. And we're just like always assuming that like Russia's out to get us in submarines probably. And so they get a signal. They're like, it's the Russians. But then they're noticing it's just coming really incredibly fast, this thing. And like, they've never seen anything like it. And then all of a sudden,
nothing
it's
can
like,
go 180 knots. Wonder how fast that is. I don't know.
I'm like, cool. Don't know what that means.
Cool.
Cool. And all of a sudden it's upon them, and then there's a collision, and the USS Montana like floats into an underwater mountain range or whatever, and they get a hit or whatever, and then like the sub starts taking on water, and there's that whole scene just like in Titanic when you're like, come on guys, gotta get through this one little door and then close it, and then guys get trapped in there. And then they don't. There was one time where a guy like almost was able to shut the door, but like couldn't quite do it in time. And I was like, dang, if only that guy had shut that door, none of this would have happened. So it's a nuclear submarine. So they have all these like nuclear missiles also. P.S. Bad news. So down goes the sub, and like, you know, just like classic submarine noises.
Good one.
And so then we meet, we're, you know, up on the surface, this company called Deep Core, who has developed this like underwater mining rig. And a rig is essentially like a submarine, but that does it move? I guess it can move, but it's like a house, not a sub.
Yeah.
And then and there's a whole crew down there mining and stuff.
And it
that's
seems
where we
like they
meet.
have like little mini submarines, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
that like then that goes. They use that to go away from the larger thing that doesn't move. So yeah, I think you're right. Like the larger structure doesn't move, and that seems like pretty roomy and nice. I'll say, like that doesn't seem like the scary sub. It seems like more of just like a lab or something, you know?
Yeah, totally. A spaceship, if you will.
Yes.
It definitely felt like that.
Yeah.
And so the Navy has approached this company to be like, we need to use your oil rig, whatever, because like a submarine sunk like, you know, X miles away from here, and we got to use this for base of operations. And so this woman, Lindsay, is like pissed about it. I guess she designed the deep core structure, so she feels like obligated that like it's her baby. Turns out her ex-husband is like the head driller or whatever, Bud.
Real name
Virgil.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool nickname for that.
interesting. And so they meet up again, and there's like this coldness. You get the sense that they may have separated or divorced or something. She like doesn't like being called by his last name. No one seems to like her, which is, she just seems like they portray her as very like bossy and like, you know, knows everything. But like here's what's up, guys. She does know everything, and like. Shut up.
Right.
Like,
And
she knows
and
what's
that
best.
dynamic of only woman in like this very, very man's world. I mean, like literally women like do not do this job. So that's always kind of like the like double-edged sword of that or whatever. Like the women feel like they have to be like, okay, like, cause they're not getting hurt. They won't get hurt. They're just going to get stomped on if they don't
Such
like
bullshit.
really like, you know, advocate for themselves. So yeah, whatever.
Totally. So Yeah. So then she brings a couple Navy SEALs down. So the main Navy SEAL guy's name is
Coffee.
Coffee. I was like, I thought I wrote it down, and I kept wanting to say Kofi, but I was like, no, it's definitely coffee, like a pot of coffee. And they explain about this like disorder, what that can happen if you go like, under. It's like neuro
Deep water psychosis.
Okay, yeah. And so like your hands tremble is the first sign, and then like you hallucinate, you get paranoid, like bad news bears. So she like tells everybody about the signs and like what to look out for. They get on to the deep core rig, and they explain the situation to the crew. So they gotta take a couple people to go into this submarine and find out if there's any survivors. Is like the first step they do. And the government is super worried because this is a nuclear sub, as I said. They think that the Russians attack them, and they don't want like the Russians to get the weapons, and it's all this like not the Russians. Main motivation. Meanwhile, there's a hurricane on its way, so keep that in mind.
Yep, the location of this is this real Cayman Trench, which is kind of right off the coast of Cuba. There's like a shelf, and then that goes way down. So very epicenter for like hurricanes starting there and stuff. So they're kind of
nuclear warfare.
Yeah,
That's very interesting.
Weird. Yeah. So they're against the clock a little bit because that storm's blowing in.
Right. So, Bud and a couple other guys go into the submarine. They get in there, and of course, everybody's fucking dead, like as we knew they would be. But it's really eerie, and everyone's just like, dead, drowned in the. It's creepy. A guy, James Cameron's brother, is, dead with crabs coming out of his mouth. I'll never forget that. I'll tell you.
No.
It was just like, whoa, that's too much. So then you get some weirdness, like the flashlights go out. There's one guy who's like a little spooked, and he stays behind. And while he's behind, this like glowing light thing approaches him, and he gets real spooked, and he like backs up real fast into something, and then like hits the distributor thing on his like oxygen levels or whatever, puts him out of whack, and he starts getting all like nutty and convulses and goes into a coma basically. And so they're like, fuck. So they get him back up, and they're like, he was in a coma. I don't know. What happened to that guy? Did he die? Did he wake up?
Oh, he woke up. Yeah, it was awesome.
He did?
He woke up just in time, to kind of save the day. You'll talk about it, but...
He did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once the Navy SEALs get a little...
What was his name?
Good point. I don't know.
Jammer? I think it was like Jammer
yeah,
or
something
something.
like a jam.
But I don't remember him sticking around for long. But anyways, maybe I mixed him up with someone else. But anyways, so then the hurricane hits, and storm up top and they're below. At some point, the crane gets knocked out and like falls down, and unfortunately, it topples like over the trench. And the crane is attached to the deep core thing. So then the deep core thing plummets also over the trench, and they go down, and they they get some damage, and they got to seal up some rooms,
and a lot of the crew dies,
and a lot of people die. Yeah,
same situation as the sub. Unfortunately, you have doors not being able to close, like people get trapped behind them. Very tragic because all these guys are like buddies. So I don't know. It's really hard to tell like how big this crew was, and then what it gets whittled down to. I don't know. Maybe they were at like 10. And it gets whittled down to like 5 people, I guess. Right?
Yeah. Oh, I thought more than that for sure, but I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. So now they're gonna check for damage. So Lindsay volunteers to like go out in a suit and like see the damage. She encounters the glowing light thing and is like really excited about it. Because she's like, it's an alien, or she says like I forget the word she uses, but she's like, it's alive, but like this and that, and like she's trying to convince everyone, but they're not listening to her. Very shades of Alien, or Aliens really, where it's just like, it's an alien, and they're like, shut up, you're crazy. They're not aliens. We're in space with looking junk. There can't be aliens out here. So it's very interesting, though, is that I was going to talk about this later, but one of the going theories about aliens, did you know this, is that they do live, in fact, underwater.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the sightings are near water. Think of that like Navy, the airplanes and they saw, and then they just like disappeared.
Yeah.
They think they're like, oh, they must have just like gone in the water and they're out of there. So very interesting. So everyone thinks she's nutty. She's crazy. She has the neuro whatever disease thing. But she's like, you guys, I'm not crazy. Meanwhile, you know who does have this disease is the Navy SEAL guy, Coffee.
Yeah.
So we saw his hands tremble like kind of earlier on, and now he seems to be really under the impression that the glowy light things are the Russians. And so he's deep into Russian paranoia to the point like full on insane. But
they had already, prior to him getting like real nutty, the second part of their Navy SEAL plan, which they didn't tell anybody, was that they needed to go and retrieve a warhead and like the codes to it or something.
Why just
like
one?
Or they got the codes when they were on the sub at the beginning. But then I think the plan was to blow up the sub with one of those nukes all along so the Russians like couldn't get to it, was maybe the idea. I don't know. Does that sound crazy?
I don't get it.
Well, then that would be like
bit.
a lot of nukes though. I don't know why they wanted one nuke.
And then, like, why didn't they want the nuke to explode at the end if that was the plan? Like, I thought it would be bad for everyone if the thing is. I don't know. Whatever.
So they have a nuke.
I don't get it. Science. So then everybody actually meets this alien, which I am calling in this form the water snake. So it's this like liquid snake thing that like kind of goes through the rig, but then they're like not. She's like, Lindsay's like, don't be scared of it. I'm friends with these guys. That's what she says, and it starts taking on their characteristics, and it makes its face like into their faces, and they're like mimicking them back. It's trying to communicate.
Question for you: if you reached out and touched an alien, would you taste it?
No, it's so gross.
Like it could have been anything.
She just
and it looks like plasma. And it's just salt water, I guess, which is like, whoa, cool trick. But she like
crazy.
puts her finger into this, which has molded into different like faces and stuff. So it's kind of cool. And then puts it right in her mouth. Weird. I don't know.
No, not about that.
Take a sample.
Not about that life. Oh boy. So then crazier sins over there sees this alien. He's like, the Russians, and he closes the door on it, and it like cuts off its tail, even though it's like not part. I don't know. I didn't know if that like really hurt it or not. And the thing gets kind of mad, and then he's convinced that because it went right for the nuclear warhead, that like of course it's the Russians. And so now he's in like actual crazy town. And he's like, I'm gonna strap this nuke to this camera thing, and then shoot it at this. What I think are the aliens. I mean, what I think are the Russians, right? That was like his big plan.
Yeah, they have like these two little robot camera things that can be controlled from like the main oil drilling like house thing. So the first one, they have it programmed to go like straight to the submarine, and that's what he like hijacks and puts the warhead on.
Because Lindsay wants to take pictures to try to like capture the aliens. Right. Okay. So now there's a nuke attached to that, and they got to stop it. But meanwhile, he takes everybody like hostage or like kidnapped, basically.
Yeah, he is. Obviously, they have guns. They snuck some guns
but it's
on.
like just him and one other guy and like 7 burly underwater miners. I was confused why they couldn't like take them on.
Guns.
One was crazy, so it was like you could just do like an easy trick and be like, "Look over there, a Russian," and then you'd hit him with a fire extinguisher or something. Not that I was planning it out, but. So Bud and his buddy Kat go very bravely out and have to do this like underwater swim. When he does the underwater thing to like prep, you like take all these deep, quick breaths.
How
and then you
cold
do
you
God.
think that water was?
I don't. Oh, I was just and like how long do they have to hold their breath? Like just like really crazy. So they go up to the thing to this hatch, but it's locked, so they can't get in that way. So they're like, got to go to the moon pool, which you gather is like even further away than this place. And Kat's like, I'm not gonna make it, man. I'm sorry. And he's like, okay, it's okay. So then Bud goes on himself, like comes out, sees crazy guy, engages him in hand-to-hand combat, and then almost gets killed by him basically. And then out of nowhere, Kat's like, hey. And then like punches him. So cool.
Good
so
moment.
he made it after all.
Yeah. He just needed a break. He just like couldn't
I was
go
so proud
like
of him.
one after the other. Yeah.
Really faced his fears and weaknesses and really came through.
But Coffee gets away, right?
Yeah, where does he go?
So he just is able to scramble into one of like the little like submarines that they basically just like drive. They're like little submarine cars.
Yeah.
And is able to and he had already strapped like the nuke to it. So he like takes off
so
with
the
that.
nuke's on it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Lindsay's like, I'm going after him.
Yeah.
And then she gets in a little sub, and then Bud gets in the little sub, and they go after him, and they like do this underwater submarine duel kind of thing. I forget how they end up besting him, but they knock him basically, and he like is on the edge of the trench, and then he falls in, and because you're not supposed to go that below in that thing, the sub implodes or whatever.
Ugh. That's like what happened to the sub
Turned to
recently.
dust. Right,
The like
exactly.
implosion.
That's exactly what I thought of. And so now they're fucked because their submarine is broken and they have no way of getting like back to where they need to be. It's way too far away.
And cold water's
And
coming in.
only cold water's coming in. Only Bud has a suit. There's only one suit. So then Lindsay has the brilliant idea to be like, oh, I know, like I'll go into deep hypothermia and like die, and then you tow me back and then resurrect me within like 30 minutes. I should still be okay. And he's like, no. And there's this whole thing, and it's like he has to be the one to do it because he's the stronger swimmer, and like this whole thing. So they fucking do it,
Gut
and it's
wrenching.
horrifying.
That
And it's
was
like
the craziest
it's like that
scene.
scene in Casino Royale where like she's she's like drowning at the end, and like you see her drown. And it was just like, whoa, what? And you automatically put yourself in that situation. And it's so awful because she's brave at first. And then she's like, I don't want to do this. I'm scared. And it's like, oh my God.
And
Come
like,
on.
talk about such a painful way to die. Because basically she drowned, but the water was also like negative
And
20.
froze to death.
So it was like a combo. And
Fucking nuts.
I mean, and they say
So,
with
yeah.
like hypothermia, you get
Hey,
like.
you got the balloons going.
Oh.
Do you see that? You missed the balloons.
Someone must have sent
It's
me
like some
something.
hand position that like
Oh.
does that. I don't know what it is.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. This keeps happening on all the podcasts I'm listening to. People are like, the balloons. How did
Oh
that
my
happen?
God. So yeah, so who knows? Like they say hypothermia, and like that is actually not because you kind of just get like sleepy and whatever. But I don't know, whatever. Not a great way to die. And I could have done some research on like, is this feasible? Is it feasible to be drowned and cold like that and to be able to be brought back to life? But spoiler, she does get brought to life. But he tows her back to the
Barely.
ship. And
Yeah.
she's like, she basically has like jeans and like a long sleeve shirt on. I mean, and it's being like towed not that far, but it's like, a good amount. And he brings her to the surface, and then he tells the guys, oh, that's the other thing, they like are always like out of range of the radios to like the main thing, so they couldn't.
The hurricane
hurricane,
blew it out. They have to wait for the hurricane to stop.
So they couldn't-
and they only have a limited supply of oxygen too. So
Yeah.
they only have like a couple hours
Yeah.
down there.
So they like couldn't tell their buddies what was going on. So as soon as he's in range, he like tells them like, I need the heat packs, I need the defibrillator, we need like oxygen, whatever. So they don't know what's going on, but then you just see like him with this dead body like being pulled up, and they try to resuscitate her, and it's like, for me, went on like a beat too long.
Oh my God. Way too long.
I was like, okay,
Like-
I gave up. Honestly, I gave up. 'Cause
Yeah,
I was like, it's over.
I guess she dies, and then that was that. And then I was like, well, where are the alien friends? Like, I feel like they could save her, and they obviously like her best.
Right.
So like, I don't understand why they're not coming for her. But you do see a glow in the water, like beside it when this is all happening. So you're led to believe that they did have something to do with this,
Okay.
because they do give up, and they're like, she's gone, and then they're all grieving and sad, and then Ed's just like, or Bud's like, I'm not gonna stand for this. I forget
Well,
what he said.
I love when he says like, you've never given up on anything, and he like kind of like smacks
you
her.
stupid bitch
Yeah.
or something, and like, yeah, nice. And, just starts you try, and then of course she takes the breath, and she's okay. Everybody, she's okay.
Wow. Okay.
So
the other thing I didn't like about that scene, and it felt very gratuitous, was
The boobs.
Yes, they're like, oh wait, it doesn't work. It has to be skin to skin. So of course they open her shirt, and then you get like a little bit of boob in the movie. Was that
Right,
necessary?
Well, I mean, that is true.
It is
I
true,
think
but-
that is true. But they could have done that in a way without like bringing attention to that. Like,
Yes.
just don't show the camera from that
Right.
angle. Look, I don't know.
It felt
Just-
gratuitous boob. I didn't love it.
Totally. So she's back. She's like all fucked up, but she's back. And so then now they have this problem. There's that nuclear warhead or whatever
On
in the trench
on a
and they-
timer.
on a timer. Okay, I missed that.
Yes.
I was like,
it was gonna go off if they didn't do it.
because I was like, why couldn't they just let the subs?
no.
Whatever. Okay.
3-hour
So
timer.
it's
or
on a
something.
timer, so they gotta disable it, and it's way too far down. So the only way they can get there is with one of these like special suits that one of the cool Navy SEAL who was friends with the crazy guy and then turned good. Thank God.
I think he got shot by him though. or did he get shot by?
Oh,
See, that's
No, I
when
think-
Jan comes because he saves
Jan?
the day. Whoever the guy was in the
Jammer?
coma.
Jammer.
Jammer, yeah.
Chance
Whatever, could be Jam.
was-
He saves the day and is like pops out of the coma and then is able to like get the guns from people and like subdue those guys, and then the coffee guy ends up getting away. But yeah, anyway, those
Oh.
Navy
But did
SEALs
he make
turned
it
good.
Did he make it to the end? The
Yeah.
Jammer? I don't even
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
what
yeah.
he looks like. Maybe I thought he
Yeah,
was
he's like
cat
big
the whole
eyes,
time.
long face. He kind of looks the same as the other guys.
I know, that's why I was confused.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, so Bud is the one that has to do it, of course. So Lindsay's like, "Don't! I just came back to life. You can't now risk your life."
Awful.
And then so he puts the suit on. It's this the scene that Sweetie the quote at the beginning, and he can breathe in the water. And so the only way he can communicate to them is typing on this. Okay, but I missed when they showed was it like a little keyboard? How
Yeah.
was he typing?
Yeah. It's like
Can
a
you
little
imagine? I
pocket
just-
translator, like on his arm.
How is there not a better way to communicate when you're diving in depths and you're losing consciousness? You have to
know.
type.
I know.
Okay, so the further down he gets, the more they're freaking out because no human has ever been this far, and he's gonna pass out, he's gonna die. They have to keep talking. Lindsay has to keep talking to him and tell him that she loves him to keep him awake and conscious. And then he starts getting a little fuzzy, and he's blah 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 nonsense, and they're he's losing it, but he does reach it, and then cuts the wire. Yay!
But
Bomb is
very
disarmed.
stressful still because he loses all the light.
Yeah.
His his little flashlight thing shorts, and then he has basically looks like a glow stick is another thing, and then another glow stick. And when he shines the glow stick on what is a black and white wire or a blue and yellow wire, they both look the same. So he kind of just has to be eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I think it's this one. And hope he cuts the right one and just holds his breath. I mean, obviously, it's going to go right, but still, very stressful scene.
Yeah. But he makes the right choice. And they're all excited and they're celebrating. And they're like, how much oxygen or power do you have to get back? And he's like, about 35 minutes worth. And it took him 30 minutes to get down there. So they're like, fuck, you're dead. And he's like, I knew this was a one-way trip. And Lindsay's freaking out and talking him through the thing. And he's like, you can't do this to me. You made me come back from the dead. And now you're dead. And it's fair point. Yeah. Fair point. Why does she have to fight? And you can't. Yeah. But he just basically sits down and is waiting to die, essentially. Meanwhile, a great glowing light enters the scene. Finally, our alien friends have arrived. And it's this beautiful, floating butterfly, with all these lights. And this cute little. Oh, I thought it was the alien.
Oh, I don't know.
That's how they swam.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. And it had this cute little alien face, and it was hey, I'm here to save you. And so they bring him in, and then he goes on this crazy underwater journey where it's so crazy. And I was like, is this Avatar: The Way of Water?
I was is this the same movie? It just
yeah,
did
it was
not
so
seem
weird.
to fit.
Oh, this was this movie was just a combination of everything that James Cameron has ever done or will do.
I know.
And it was so fascinating because it was Titanic, and then you've got the Avatar stuff in here, and they're oh, look, alien species, we are friends, and but some of us are bad, and then it's just it's get a new storyline, James Cameron. For God's sake. So anyways, he goes on this journey, gets out of the water, and is able to breathe again. He can make contact with his buds. And so they think he's dead. The hurricane has magically dissipated, and they finally get contact with the above the surface. And they're we lost Bud, super sad, wah, 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 wah. But then they're hold on, we're getting a message from Bud. And they're what? And it's Bud, blah, 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 back online, or back on the air. And they're how can he be alive? And then all this commotion happens, and this giant structure. And meanwhile, when Bud went on his magical journey, you saw this magical alien village, which basically looked like Jar Jar Binks' hometown in Star Wars.
Good point.
And it's this huge alien. Was it their ship, or was that we don't really know what this is.
Yeah, I don't know. Not explained.
I don't
And
know.
it looks
Yeah,
way
so-
less special when it comes out of the water. And this is kind of where it lost me. I was like,
It did look very magical under the water. And then it rises out, and it takes with it the mining rig, and then in the middle is the alien spaceship, and then Bud comes out of that. And he's like, here I am with my alien friends. And then they run and rejoice and they kiss and all the buds make it.
Yeah.
The bud and the buds. They all make it, which was nice. The rat lived.
we didn't
Very
talk about the
joyous
rat.
occasion. And they're like, guys, we finally cracked the code. There are aliens.
Yeah.
Done. And then so
Yeah, that's
cool.
it.
Wow.
Yeah, the ending really threw me. As I said to you, the ending. The last hour is so great because it's like the very exciting thing. So the two like near death things when you're just like biting your nails, and then it gets into this like weird alien thing, and then what rises out of the sea looks like a Barbie dream house like style like spaceship.
Totally.
And like happy ending, like romantic happy ending. They like go run into each other's arms and like and like he calls her Mrs. blah blah blah, and they're all clearly like back together. So it just like really threw me for a loop. I'm like, what just happened in this last hour? My mind is just bouncing all over the place. I just don't know how to process this.
I just made a thumb plus by going like this, but I'm not doing that. I'm putting my pen on my forehead. Why does it think that that's thumbs up? It's so weird. And like everyone's complaining about this. Like you make this weird thing happen and you can never do it again. And you're like, how intuitive can this? Okay, yours probably doesn't work because you haven't updated your phone in like 5 years, probably.
Anyway.
But anyways, yeah, that's the movie. I think that like we said, super kind of slow. You know, in the beginning, I was shocked to learn that like after she was resurrected, there was still like 35 minutes or 40 minutes left of the movie, and I was like, what else can happen? Oh, the other one has to die too. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of death, a lot of near death, a lot of drowning, a lot of water, claustrophobia. This is not a movie for you if you are afraid of claustrophobia, if you're claustrophobic, or if you hate the water.
Yeah,
I
fear of
guess.
drowning.
Fear of drowning. Yeah. Yes, thank you. So not the movie for you. Find something else. But like fine movie. I just think that like
I liked it.
I wish
I did not go into it like I said. I went into it thinking like aliens, and maybe like mean aliens.
I did. Yeah.
And-
I thought it was
and
bad aliens.
Totally different movie. So I guess I gotta watch Sphere again because that's kind of
just
like
kinda wanted,
what I was
like,
craving.
Yeah, I wanted like more alien. I think it would have been funner if it was more of like a Contact.
Yeah.
Where like it is very the aliens and finding out about the aliens like is the main purpose. Less of this like crazy Navy SEAL guy.
Yeah,
who's going crazy.
And I would have liked appreciate a little more of an explanation of like what is the deal with these aliens? Like, can we?
What is the
have a
deal?
little bit of
What
their
happens
story?
now?
Yeah.
There's some theory that like they could change their molecular chemistry or whatever to be like whatever the water to basically be whatever they wanted. So like they were like mimicking the little mini submarines. They get the water snake thing, like their faces. So you get a little bit, but you don't know anything. And like I hope we formed an alliance and they helped us out in this alternate version of 1989. But like,
Yeah.
I'm just so
Right,
curious,
like what do they do
happens
with this
now?
technology, and also like why was this the time that the aliens were like, yeah, like let's make contact. Speaking of contact, let's
Right,
make
like
contact.
why were they swimming through why did they hit that submarine? Did they feel bad? Why didn't they save all those guys that
I
they
know.
accidentally hit if they're like kind of okay with humans? So like that didn't make sense.
Yeah, because they were the military. I mean, the military like
Oh,
is
yeah.
kind of has I would say like a negative. It's not
Yeah,
like a great
definitely.
movie for the U.S. military and the Navy SEALs, I will say. And the guys on the ship are a little bit like anti-establishment anyway, so that kind of like runs through the whole movie.
Totally.
There is a great case for saving your pets before coworkers. So, there's this guy. He's kind of like a nerdy, kind of like the brains,
Like
computery guy, conspiracy
theorist.
theorist. Yeah, but he does
Like
a lot
Philip
of the
Seymour
computers.
Hoffman would have played him
Yeah.
in Twister.
And his
Or,
little
like, whatever,
quirk, we already talked about like the cowboy. The other woman is kind of like this cowboy. That's like her quirk. But anyway, his quirk is that he has this pet rat that just sits on his shoulder all day in the oil rig and just rides on it like a pirate with a parrot. I forget what the rat's name is, but it's like a white rat.
It's like a lab rat. It looked like a lab.
Yeah, like a lab rat. One of the ways they show in the beginning how the breathable water works is that they use the rat as like a guinea pig. And I guess that has led this movie to be like not shown in many countries because a lot of people thought it was animal cruelty to submit like a rat to that sort of a thing.
Yeah, because wasn't he really drowning? Because it's not like that technology exists. So
I
how did they
guess
film
that rat did end up dying, not in that scene, but by the end of the movie from unrelated causes. So that got around.
Probably stress.
And they said like they had to shoot that scene kind of from weird angles because the rat did end up like pooping in like panic during it. So there's like rat feces in the water or something. I don't know. Anyways, so at one point, when the oil rig like falls down into the trench, and then a lot of the guys are ending up like getting like water's coming into it. There's fires, whatever. The rat guy is in like where the big pool is, and is like his rat. He could have saved like his fellow coworker, but instead chose to save the rat, which is like, probably would have done the same thing.
It was shot in a very weird way where they did like a quick cut, and it looked like his moment of doing that actually killed him. Right. Because I was, again, they all looked the same, and it was confusing. I wanted to ask you how you felt about the rat. Was that in addition to these awful fears of like being in a submarine? Did you like the rat? What was your journey with the rat?
Do I have a fear of rats, but wet rats? That is double duty for me. So yeah. But like when it's that pet form, and it was like, it's like the outdoor sewer, and he was white. So I mean, I'm not being racist here.
You're racist.
He was. It's like the like freaking sewer rats, like the like with the tails and the I don't know. It's the outside rats. I'm not as spooked about a pet rat for sure. Yeah. So I was okay with it. I enjoyed that like his life-saving technique was to put him in a plastic Ziploc bag, and he was like, looks good. I mean, can he breathe in there?
I guess, and he was like swimming in the bag in the water. It was confusing.
Yeah. But he's like such a big part of the movie and makes it to the end.
And like one of the gags is like when the Navy SEAL's telling him about this technology, he keeps calling the rat a he, even though the guy keeps doing like she. And I was like, what is going on here? Like he's definitely telling you it's a girl, and the guy just continues. And it's like, is this another example of like sexism in the military? Like it was so weird. And I like that Navy SEAL too, so that was disappointing. But I'm glad the rat made it. And yeah, I came to like it too.
Did the rat make it.com?
Yeah, I know. There's a cute moment where like Bud's getting ready to go in the big dive, and he like the rat like kisses him on the nose, and he's like bye. It's cute. It's cute. But yeah, so who's your favorite character other than Bud and Lynn? Like who are your favorite like coworker people?
Well, like I said, it's like really hard to keep track. I mean, I did like all the people and all, like I said, like they're kind of quirks. I mean, the guy who saves the day, everyone kind of has like a saves the day moment though. So they're all like really good. It makes sense now why they kind of had to whittle down the crew, unfortunately by killing some of them, but to kind of this smaller, like close knit one. I wonder how much they were going to get paid, because at the beginning, the guys are like, okay, we're not risking our lives to like basically confirm there's like dead submarine people down there. And the guy's like, you'll get triple more an hour. Mm-hmm. And they're all like, yeah. But like, how much was that?
Yeah, would have been good to know.
Yeah.
And like,
is that worth it?
Right. And like, how useful is money? Like, are they down there all the time? Like, how useful is money if they're like living underwater working? Like, do they get 6 months vacation? Do they only have to do this for a year and then they can quit and do something else? Like, what is the story here?
Just seems like a job. I don't know. It's sometimes you hear about these jobs and you're just like, how do they get people to do them? Like how much you got to pay somebody
I'm sure it's
to
like
do stuff like that.
Some level of like excitement and danger, and like I was thinking about that today. I was like, I hate that. Like I started watching From the Earth to the Moon, which like I know is supposed to be a good thing. I thought it was more of like a documentary, so I turned it off immediately because I was like, I'm not ready for this.
No.
But I was like, okay, little boys are all obsessed with going to space or whatever. Yes, there are some girls out there too, but in general, little boys and then older men grow up and all they fucking talk about is the space program and like going to the moon, and like it's like I love Tom Hanks, but like dude's obsessed, and I think it's very interesting, but I'm not like cream in my pants to go to space anytime soon because it seems like a very dangerous place.
Yeah.
And like the likelihood of dying is significantly high. And men have this like kind of, natural risk-taking lifestyle behavior. And so I think that it kind of like plays into that. And also this idea of like submarines and underwater and people that would do that job.
Up or down, real risky.
Right. It's
either way.
Gotta push the boundaries and like have excitement or I'm not really living. It's like, come on. I'm sure that's not everybody, but like that's the take that I got from it. And why there's so few women.
Did you get to the Earth to the Moon episode? So, like the
No,
first...
I stopped watching it.
That, like, it's a very good series. And it's very, like, you learn, obviously, a lot about the space program. But whatever the initial one is where the guys, like, burn to death in the freaking capsule.
Yeah. Well, I remember that
my
from
God.
Apollo 13.
Scarred me for life. It's really just was so sad and just, again,
Gus
just,
Grissom.
like, just so many risks with all that stuff. Yeah. And, like, am I okay? Like, I've seen the pictures from space of looking at the Earth, and I've seen some pictures of the moon. They're great. Do I need to experience that? Like, no.
until we invent like teleportation and like seamless, like it's the traveling part that like sucks. Like we're not doing that. My mom and I were in this store a couple weeks ago, and this woman had mentioned she knows somebody that like booked a trip on the commercial space ship or whatever, and it's like millions of dollars. You can get a seat on that. And I was like, oh, like why? Like it's so stupid.
I know.
It's not stupid. I think it would be really cool. I just think it's so scary and dangerous. But
same thing of freezing your ass off hiking freaking Mount
Everest.
Mount Everest. Like, okay, like if you're not the first person, who cares?
Who cares?
Like that ship is sailed. You're gonna be like the 10,000th person. Who cares? Are you gonna be rest of your life saying, oh my God, I climbed Mount Everest? First of all, like no one's gonna believe you. But second of all, like that's only for you.
Like, is everything in life is like so fleet. Not to get like super like philosophical or whatever, but like everything is so fleeting that like. Even like the most beautiful places I've been, like you see it for a second and like your pictures, they don't really do it justice, but like I know I was there, but that same feeling I don't get, right? Unless you go back there probably. And that sucks. And so like I just can't get behind it. I can't get behind it. I don't know.
We're just not
Whatever.
those kind of people. And
we're not.
The risk takers, it is a certain kind of person, and yes, I think tends to lean towards the male species, but good for them. Someone's got to drill the oil at the bottom of the sea.
Someone's got to die making the wrong decisions.
Yeah, like someone's got to do those jobs.
Yeah.
Which, like, whatever. We shouldn't be complaining. I'm glad that we have people to do those jobs because if we didn't, like,
I mean, is underwater drilling really a thing? Is that a real thing?
Know. Well,
they make it up.
I don't know.
What's under there? Oil?
Yeah, I guess. And like I guess even like further down that even a oil rig, they have those ones way out in the ocean. Can't reach, I guess.
I thought
the drill
those are like
can't go down.
boats.
No, I'm
those
talking
were
about the
boats.
big like oil, the BP, the one that had the big freaking explosion.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know
that.
they were.
So they're not like underwater, so that's like a special thing. But I don't know. I mean, hopefully they're using that technology. I mean, I know like underwater technology is still very like new. There's not like either there's not a lot to it, or because we can't get down there because we don't have the technology, or
the next frontier.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's a cool thing. It's wicked dark down there, and it's cold though. So
There's probably like scary ancient beasts that will like kill you.
well, I just read
so interesting,
one
'cause,
about
like, we just don't know.
yeah, like because I was looking up this Cayman Trench, and it said something about there's like vents down there where like this. Even though it's like so cold, when you get way down, and especially at the bottom, there's these vents that is obviously like the inside of the earth is like popping hot water out of them. And they said the temperature was like 845 degrees Fahrenheit.
Whoa. I mean, I believe it.
And there's like some shrimp species that they've like found down there
there's
that
probably,
like
there's a bunch of new
glows
species
in
down
the
there.
dark.
It's, like,
I don't know.
so
Yeah,
cool.
like who would live down there? If you could get reincarnated and come back as like a deep water shrimp. Wow. No,
Is
that's
that
a
what you
life.
want?
No. Don't put that out there. If anyone's listening, I don't want to have that next.
Anyways, all right. Well, anything else? Or we just blabbering?
Yeah, we're totally blabbering. Glad we
Cool.
finally got to see this. Glad. I hope more movies. Space Camp. I'm looking at you. Come available to stream because that's another one on our list that we just cannot get. And actually, that would be good to do soon because this sort of like dovetails with space danger and underwater danger. So yeah.
Our favorite topics.
I know.
Cool. All right. Well, Sweetie's going to have this baby probably, but we'll be back when we're back. And thanks all for listening. You can find us on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you, as always, for listening. Bye.
Bye, baby.